Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome, everyone. Today, we're unpacking something absolutely fundamental to our lives, the psychology of wealth. We often think building wealth is just about, spreadsheets, math, market trends, but the material we're analyzing today argues something completely different. It reveals exactly why our financial decisions literally define our success, and not just in your bank account, but in your entire life trajectory.
So ask yourself, what truly drives those decisions? I mean, we like to think we're these entirely rational beings, right? Calculating risk and reward like a supercomputer. But as we'll see, success isn't just about how much money you earn. It's actually deeply, inextricably tied to our internal choices, our subconscious, and our psychology. To master our money, we literally have to master our minds first.
So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to deconstruct how shifting our mindset transforms our financial reality across 5 key areas. 1. Your unique financial DNA. 2. Compounding and patience. 3. Navigating fear and volatility. 4. Defining true wealth. And finally, 5. The real price of success. Let's get to it.
Starting things off with Section 1, your unique financial DNA.
We're incredibly quick to judge others, aren't we? If someone's rocking lavish designer clothes, we think, wow, what a waste of money. If someone is super frugal, we call them cheap. But we rarely stop to realize that these choices aren't just random. They stem directly from a person's unique upbringing. A massive chunk of our financial DNA comes down to what behavioral finance calls recency bias. Basically, this is our psychological tendency to heavily weight our past experiences when making future decisions. So if you saw your parents struggle to pay the bills, or actually, let's say you personally lost money in a sudden stock market dip, that past experience just haunts you. It can completely paralyze your future investing. Even when all the historical data proves that holding long-term absolutely works, your brain is just stuck on that recent pain. The source material shares a really fantastic anecdote that hits the nail on the head here. During college, it is so easy to fall into the social pressure trap. You see your friends rolling up on these expensive KTMs or Royal Enfields looking incredibly cool, usually on their parents' time, right? And the natural instinct is, I want that too. But building a strong financial DNA, that means riding a simple commuter bike and pausing to ask yourself a really hard question. Is this purchase an actual need, or is it just a desire to look cool? Recognizing that difference is a total game changer.
Which brings us to you. What was the turning point that defined your why for making money? Like, why are you personally chasing financial success? Don't just passively listen to this. Drop your perspective down below in the comments. Honestly, detailing your own turning point might just help someone else who's trying to figure out their own financial DNA. Let's move to Section 2 and see how this builds compounding and endless patience.
Patience is arguably the absolute most powerful force in wealth building, but it demands something most of us really struggle with: time. Think about $1 billion. That is an astronomical amount of wealth. But what's truly staggering is that Warren Buffett, literally one of the greatest investors in history, only had a net worth of $1 billion by the time he was 60 years old. He'd been investing since he was 10, so that means it took him 50 years of slow, methodical, patient work just to hit that mark. Now contrast that early figure with $100 billion. In his 90s, just a few decades later, his net worth crossed the $100 billion mark. That, right there, is the raw, immense magnitude of compounding over time. It's not about getting rich quick, folks. It's about starting early, letting time do all the heavy lifting, and, this is crucial, never interrupting the compounding process unnecessarily. Modern data totally backs this up, showing how early risk and time can exponentially grow small investments. Just look at these massive historical leaps in the crypto market. Bitcoin, which launched at fractions of a rupee, eventually touched around 83 lakhs. And Ethereum, launching at about 15 pies, hit highs near 2.7 lakh. Now, this data from our source underscores a fundamental investing principle: taking calculated early risks, even with tiny amounts, and applying extreme patience can yield just incredible compounding results over time. The legendary investor Peter Lynch always advised that to win, you simply have to ignore the noise. Think about the early investors in companies like Tesla. They had to hold through relentless criticism and wild volatility just to see those massive gains. So I've got to ask you to answer honestly. On a scale of 1 to 10, what is your true patience level with your investments? Really think about your number. Be honest with yourself because, you can't improve what you don't acknowledge. Section 3, navigating fear and volatility. Now, what's really interesting about this concept is that we all know patience is key, right?
But when those inevitable market crashes happen, holding on becomes incredibly difficult. And this is all due to negativity bias. That's the psychological tendency to feel the pain of losing money way, way more intensely than the joy of gaining it. The source highlights the 2008 financial crash as a prime example here. Out of pure panic and fear of losing even more, countless people sold their investments right at the very bottom, literally locking in their losses. They let fear completely dictate their strategy and just destroyed their long-term growth in the process. And here's the kicker. If you let negativity bias win, you miss out on what finance pros call tail events. These are those rare, massive events that disproportionately define financial success. Just look at the examples: Amazon surviving the dot-com bubble to completely dominate global e-commerce, or the sudden massive explosion of artificial intelligence, or the worldwide rise of EVs. Major financial success almost always comes from these tail events. And catching them, well, that requires us to completely overcome our inherent negativity bias and just stay the course. So the absolutely crucial question to ask yourself when that panic inevitably sets in is this: do you make your financial decisions based on facts or feelings? Taking a step back and looking at the cold hard facts and historical data, that's what prevents those impulsive, fear-driven actions that destroy wealth. It literally forces you to rely on logic rather than letting emotion take the wheel. Moving on to Section 4, defining your true wealth. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the mechanics of investing and the biases of the human mind, but we really need to shift our narrative to the final destination here. Like, what is all this money actually for? Have you ever hit a financial goal and immediately felt like, it's not enough? Well, that's hedonic adaptation. It is this endless, exhausting cycle of shifting your aspirations. You hit 1 lakh, and suddenly you need 10 lakh. You hit 10 lakh, and now you're chasing 10 crores. The source material strongly emphasizes that true happiness and contentment absolutely do not come from this endless rat race. They come from defining realistic, personally meaningful goals and knowing exactly when to stop moving the goalposts. And this brilliantly illustrates the massive difference between looking rich and actually being wealthy. On one side, we have the materialist. You know the type? They drive a luxury dream car, but it's fueled by a crippling EMI. They look incredibly rich on social media, but behind the scenes, they are totally stressed out and losing sleep over all that debt. On the other side, we have the true wealth builder. They drive a simple car, live completely debt-free, save 30% of their income, and sleep like a baby. They possess actual financial freedom, not just some stressful illusion of it. So I'm going to pose a challenge to you right now. What exact amount of money is enough for you? What is that genuine, realistic figure that would satisfy your needs, secure your future, and finally let you step off that exhausting treadmill of always chasing more? Go ahead and share that exact number in the comments. Seriously, defining your enough is literally the very first step to actually reaching it. And finally, we arrive at Section 5, the real price of success. Now, this is the sobering reality of the financial journey. Every single financial success story you see out there demanded a specific, often very painful payment to achieve. In behavioral science, this payment is known as opportunity cost. It's the harsh, undeniable concept that choosing one path means you are inherently, unavoidably rejecting another path. Highly successful people understand this on a deep level. They don't just want the shiny reward. They willingly accept the trade-offs and the sacrifices required to achieve their grandest visions. The source breaks this whole process down into 3 actionable steps. Step 1, you've got to skip short-term pleasures. Maybe that means a student skipping weekend parties or a young entrepreneur totally sacrificing their evenings. Step 2, you take that reclaimed time and energy and you invest it relentlessly into skill building or building a business. And then step 3, you eventually achieve those life-changing long-term rewards. You are literally paying the short-term cost today for long-term satisfaction tomorrow. So it all really comes down to this one crucial point. True wealth is having total control over your time and choices. It's not about the luxury goods. It's definitely not about the flashing lights on social media. The ultimate goal of every financial decision you make, of understanding your subconscious biases, of practicing endless patience, is simply to have the freedom to wake up every single day and live life entirely on your own terms. I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to chew on. Are you willing to pay the short-term price for long-term freedom? The psychology of wealth proves that financial decisions define success, for sure. But you have to be the one to make those tough choices. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. I am absolutely thrilled to share these psychological frameworks with you, and I highly, highly encourage you to start applying them to your own financial DNA starting today. Keep learning, keep building, and I'll see you in the next one.